The Money Pit podcast is brought to you by FindTape.com, your one-stop shop for tape and more. DIY, sports, arts and crafts, cleaning supplies, you name it. They carry over 100 trusted brands, including industry favorite 3M. 3M's catalog includes household names like Command, Scotch, Bondo, Filtrete, Scotch Blue, and Peltor.
Yes, and I've personally shopped their site and found everything I needed, all at incredible prices. So head on over to findtape.com and stock up on supplies for your next project. You can also receive 10% off your first purchase with promo code MONEYPIT. That's findtape.com, your source for connecting everything, and use the promo code MONEYPIT.
If your roof starts to leak or your floor's really squeak, you live in a money pit. Money pit.
If your basement needs a pump or your place looks like a dump, you live in a money pit.
Money pit.
Pick up the telephone, fix up your home sweet home by calling 888-MONEY-PIT.
The Money Pit is presented by DAP Wall and Cavity Foam and Spread Rock by Dyche Coatings. Now, here are Tom and Leslie.
Coast to coast and floorboards to shingles, this is the Money Pit Home Improvement Show. I'm Tom Kreitler.
And I'm Leslie Segretti.
And we are here to help you get projects done that you'd like to do around your house. You need help getting started with a project. You got a repair you're working on, trying to solve a little home improvement problem. Got a decor dilemma. What's on your to-do list can be easily transferred to ours when you reach out with your questions. A couple of ways to do that. Simply go to moneypit.com/ask and click the blue microphone button, or call us right now at 1-888-MONEYPIT. Coming up on today's show, do you guys know the difference between mold and mildew? You know, they might seem similar, but one can actually be a lot more serious than the other. So we're going to break down how to spot the difference and why it matters for your home's safety.
And also ahead, a fast-growing plant could be threatening your home's foundation and its property value. We're going to share what you need to know about how this new invasive species is spreading across the U.S.
And one of the most effective ways to reduce drafts and lower home heating costs is to seal spaces where cold air leaks in. Now, spray foam is a great way to do that. So we're going to share tips on a new product that makes that job easier than ever.
Plus, if you'd like to resurface your sidewalk, your patio, even your porches with granite, we're giving away a great product that does just that. It's called Spread Rock, and it's made by Dyche Coatings.
Yep, it's worth $150, and it's going out to one listener drawn at random who reaches out to us with their home improvement or decor questions. So make that you. Reach out right now at 1-888-MONEYPIT. That's 888-666-3974. Let's get to it. Leslie, who's first?
Kathy in Arizona is on the line and needs some help cleaning the garage. What can we do for you?
Well, we bought this house last fall, and the garage floor is, I'm sure, grease from the cars, but I don't know how to clean it up. I'm just wondering if I can do that myself or if I've got to hire somebody to do that.
I think you can do it yourself. What you want to do is pick up some trisodium phosphate. It's known as TSP. You'll see it in the hardware store or paint aisle of a home center. Mix that up into a paste-like consistency and cover the area of the stain. Let it sit for a while and then wash it out. Now, old oil stains are among the most difficult to take up, but it will brighten it up a bit. And if you want it to be cleaner than that, what I would do is I would wash the floor, let it dry really well, and then paint it. You could use an epoxy painting, garage floor painting system. It's a two-part epoxy that's chemical cured. So you mix the two parts of the paint together, you apply it to the floor, then you wait an hour or two, and it basically hardens right up for you. And then it'll be a lot easier to clean after that.
Okay, but so I can still put that epoxy over if I don't get all this grease up?
No, once you clean up the grease, as I mentioned, the grease may be up, but it might still be stained. And if you wanted to make it look nicer, then you could paint it.
Yeah, because the beginning part of this kit is usually like an etching compound that sort of prepares the floor to receive the coating. So if you can just get the actual grease off, even though the stain is there, it'll prepare it so that it will adhere to it.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. You're very welcome. Thanks so much for calling us at 888-MONEYPIT.
Nathan in Alaska's on the line and needs some help heating up a chilly home.
I'm looking at, actually, I put an offer in on the home that has in-floor heating, and the only utility bill that the home has is electric. So there's an electric boiler for the in-floor heater. The house also has a wood stove, so I was curious if using the wood stove to heat the in-floor heating would be a feasible option.
So basically, you want to know if you can have a wood-fired boiler.
Correct.
I mean, wood-fired boilers are used to heat entire homes. You know, I see them a lot in rural parts of the country. Sometimes I'm driving down the road and you see what looks like a shed that's, 15, 20 feet from a house, except it's got a little chimney on it and it's blowing out some wood smoke. And that's a wood-fired boiler. So they're usually outside the house. And they're pretty much like regular boilers, except that they're just fired. They're operated by wood. They usually can, they have to be fed obviously once or twice a day to keep that heat up. So it's a lot more work than having a fuel system like oil or gas. But certainly it's an option.
If you had to make a choice between investing in the wood-fired boiler or investing in an oil-fired boiler, or staying with the electric, which would you suggest?
I would go with an oil-fired boiler. If that was my choice, as you put it, between wood, electric, and oil, electric's going to be prohibitively expensive. Wood's a lot of work, and also I would be concerned that even though I may enjoy the benefits of a wood boiler, if I want to sell my house in the future buyer may not find that quite as attractive as I do. Because now they're thinking they got to buy wood or they got to cut wood and they got to be around to feed the boiler and so on and so forth. They just might not be at all into that. And that could make them buy someone else's house instead that doesn't have that. So I would use a traditional oil boiler.
Okay, that's something I will look into then. And I guess the second part of my question would be, do you recommend putting or having a percentage glycol in the heating lines, or do you think sticking with 100% water would be a better option?
Well, most homes just have 100% water. So unless there's something unusual about your home, and if it's very prone to freezing, and if you have a centralized heating system, and you're not, going to be sort of mothballing the home for any point in time, I don't see any reason to have any type of a glycol additive to your heating water.
I was just asking because I'm up here in Alaska, north of Palmer a little bit, so it gets pretty cold in the wintertime, and I just didn't know if it would be a better option with the outside temperature.
Well, I would talk to local HVAC contractors. Is it typical for them to use an additive in a hot water system there?
I was just doing some research online, and people didn't seem to be a fan of it because of the glycol being thicker. It put pretty good wear and tear on the pumping system.
Yeah, I'd be interested. I mean, it's an extreme environment, and so obviously I don't have experience in that. If I was moving into that area, I would do a little research with local HVAC contractors and find out what the best practice is.
Okay, I can definitely look into that.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
All right. Good luck, Nathan. Stay warm up there in Alaska.
I'll work on it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much for calling us at 888-MONEY-PIT.
With Ring cameras and doorbells, it's easy to keep every fright in sight. See who's there. Keep your scaredy cats company.
Oh, it's okay, sweetie. I'll be home soon.
And protect your crypt from the real monsters.
Oh, come on. The sign says take one.
Find dead simple ways to stay connected right now at ring.com.
Hey, if you guys have a surface that's concrete around your house, maybe a porch, a patio, a pool surround, maybe a driveway, and it doesn't look so great, well, there's a product out that can change that. It's called Spread Rock, and it's a granite stone coating. Now, Spread Rock is an actual layer of rock that can be applied easily to floors or walls, and we've got a large container of this, a 3-gallon size, going out to one listener drawn at random. If you'd like to take advantage of this offer, call us right now with your home improvement questions. It comes in 7 colors. It's impact resistant. It's super durable, and it's going to really spruce up the look of your concrete surfaces. The number again is 1-888-MONEY-PIT. That's 888-666-3974. You'll get the answer to your home improvement question and a chance at winning Spread Rock from Dice Coatings, which is also available at dicecoatings.com, homedepot.com, and lowes.com.
All right, now we've got Anna on the line who needs some help with some door improvement. Tell us what you're working on.
Hi. Yes, I have 1 metal door and 3 fiberglass door that I got a guy to paint it, and not knowing when I got home, he actually painted with a spray can paint. So when the heat hits the door, I can't open the door because it's sticky to the door jamb.
What a mess.
How do I repair that?
Well, even though he painted it with spray paint, it should still work. I mean, it should dry. The fact that it's spray paint is not making it any more or less tacky than perhaps if you use paint out of a gallon. But the fact that it's sticking might mean that the door needs a bit of adjustment inside the opening. Are all the doors sticking?
All the doors sticking right on the rubber of the door jamb. It's like, I think that it's a shoo-shoo can paint. I'm like, you sprayed what to the door?
What kind of paint did he use?
I call it a shoo-shoo, regular can paint. Like he went to the hardware store, got a spray can paint and sprayed it.
Well, look, what you should do now, if you've had a bad paint job, is you really have to pull that old paint off. So I would take the doors off of the hinges, lay them down horizontally, use a paint remover to pull off the paint that's there. Once you get it back down to where it was when you started, then I would prime the doors first. And I would use an oil-based primer, because that's going to give you good adhesion to both the metal and the fiberglass doors. And then I would put a good top-quality finish coat on that using a semi-gloss paint. Then let them dry really well, and then reinstall them.
So is it possible then to, this is on metal and fiberglass, to get a paint remover for this thing?
Yes, there's paint removers. The citrus-based removers are the most effective. So use the citrus-based paint removers, pull off the old paint, prime the doors, and then repaint them, and you should be good to go. Okay, Anna?
Thank you so very much again.
You're welcome. Good luck with that project. Thanks so much for calling us at 888-MONEY-PIT.
All right, now it's time to chat with a pro out of Iowa. We've got Ed on the line who wants to, get some information to put some issues to rest. What's going on, Ed?
I've got a homeowner in the Omaha area that is doing an extensive remodel. We've removed an awful lot of walls in the home, and obviously there's a lot of new sheetrock and texturing taking place. Typically, when I do a job like this, obviously, you're plasticking off various rooms to keep dust under control, but you know how dust can move around regardless of how you try and capture it with blankets and so forth. This particular issue, I've asked the homeowner to regularly check and change their furnace filter.
Okay.
And when she changed the filter, unfortunately, I saw one of the cheapest, those blue fiberglass filters that you and I
we call them rock stoppers.
That's about it. They'll stop a sock and not much more. Okay, now, unfortunately, the response I got from this gal was not what I normally get, and here's the deal, Tom. Her brother is a salesman for heating and air conditioning equipment in the Omaha market.
Okay.
And he tells her, Lori, do not buy an expensive filter. Buy the cheapest filter that you can buy, because the new highly rated efficiency furnace filters that have the MERV rating 10, 12, 14 and up, they create so much resistance for the blower motor on the furnace, you will shorten the life of your blower motor significantly. Therefore, I recommend not using those filters. I've never heard that. And I told her, Lori, I've never heard that in my life.
So here's what I would tell Lori. I would say, Lori, you either put in a high-efficiency filter or you become a high-efficiency filter. Do you want the dust stopped at the filter itself, or do you want the dust stopped in your lungs? Because that's exactly what's going to happen. And beyond that, whenever you're doing a project that's generating this level of dust, this is the rare circumstance when I will recommend a duct cleaning when the project is done. But you're wise to try to limit the dust up until that happens. But look, if she's got a family member that's planting this in her brain, you've given her your best advice. I mean, you just got to walk away. I wouldn't get between her and her brother, but I think that you're correct. I think she is incorrect. I've never, ever seen any data whatsoever that said that high-efficiency filters cause shortened blower lives, and I'm sure I would have heard of this by now, considering for how long we've been talking about these and studying them. If she doesn't put a good filter in, what's going to happen in this case, and if she doesn't clean it, if she's got a central air conditioning system, that evaporator coil where all the air is being pulled through is going to get caked solid with all that dust. And then she's going to have a very short life for her air conditioning compressor, which isn't terrible news because, let's face it, she does have a brother in the business who can buy her a new one.
Well,
and that's what I would call poetic justice.
Very well said, and I just wanted comfort in knowing that in all the years I've been encouraging people to use high-efficiency filters and going forward, am I giving, as a contractor, good advice or am I not?
No, I think you're giving excellent advice. Keep it up. Don't let one bad experience dissuade you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Leslie.
All right, good luck. Thanks so much for calling us at 888-MONEY-PIT.
Well, one of the most common questions we get from homeowners is how to tell the difference between mold and mildew. Now, they're both types of fungi, but knowing which one you're dealing with is the key to handling it properly. So today we're going to break it down for you so you know what you're up against and how to deal with it.
That's right, Tom. You know, both mold and mildew can show up in damp areas of your home, like your bathroom, your basement, and even just around windows. Mildew is typically white, gray, even a light yellow, and it grows on the surface of moist, flat areas. It's often powdery, and it's easy to wipe away with the right cleaner.
Now, mold, on the other hand, can be a bit trickier. It comes in various colors, black, green, even red, and it tends to be fuzzy or slimy. It doesn't just sit on the surface either. Mold can penetrate your walls, your carpets, even the structural components of your home, causing bigger issues if it's not dealt with quickly.
Exactly. And, you know, aside from the visual differences, another key sign is the smell. Mold tends to have a strong, musty odor that mildew usually doesn't. And if you notice a persistent, musty smell in your home, it's probably mold, and you're going to need to take some immediate steps to clean it up before it goes and spreads.
Now, don't forget, mold can also pose health risks, especially for people with respiratory issues or significant allergies. Now, if the mold problem is extensive, it really is best to call in a professional, because if you try to take it out yourself and you don't do a great job, you can actually spread it and make it worse.
Absolutely. You know, the National Association of Realtors House Logic website, they've got a great guide on the differences between mold and mildew and how you should be handling them. Now, if you do suspect that you have mold, take it seriously and act fast.
So whether it's mold or mildew, knowing what you're dealing with is the first step towards keeping your home safe and healthy. Check out houselogic.com for more tips and advice.
This podcast is sponsored by Ramp. Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. With Ramp, you get full visibility into your company's spending and control who spends what with each vendor. Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts instantly to save your team valuable time. Ramp automates data entry and routine tasks with automated approvals, expense categorization and bill payments, time-consuming tasks. Which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. Get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/easy. Ramp.com/easy. RAMP.com/easy.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members of FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Sue in Rhode Island needs some help removing paint from something. What's going on?
I have a large deck that's probably 12 by 30, and for the first couple of years we had oil-based stain on it, and then we accidentally put a latex over the stain.
But that didn't work out too well, considering that oil and water don't usually mix.
Oh, I know. I thought it was the right stain when I put it on, but nonetheless,
and it's probably peeling up, right? Like, is it peeling up like crazy right now?
Oh, it was horrible. So I power washed the heck out of it. I probably power washed it 3, 4, 5 times. I've used paint remover on it, you know, that you would use when you refurnish something, and I probably got about 3/4 of it off, but the rest of it is not coming off.
So it's not coming off. There's just no way it's coming off. You've scraped it. You can't get it off even with a hand scraper?
Even with a hand scraper.
All right. Well, then let's assume it's got good attachment to the deck, and now we got to get a new coating of stain on there. So the most important thing you have to do right now is you have to use an oil-based primer on that entire deck. You got to put the primer on first, and then you could put an oil-based stain on top of that, get good adhesion. Stay in the same manufacturing family. So if you're going to use Sherwin or Ben Moore, just make sure you stay within that same family of products and use the recommended primer for that type of stain. But if you've tried everything to get that old stain off and it's not coming off, then I think we can safely assume that it's in for good. And you just got to get a new coat on there, but you want to prime it first because the primer is a different characteristic than the stain, and it's going to make sure you have good adhesion to that entire deck surface and stop the peeling from happening again. Does that make sense?
All right. Oh, that's been really helpful. I can't wait to stain my deck.
All right. Good luck with that project, Sue. Thanks so much for calling us at 888-MONEY-PIT.
Hey there. We hope you're enjoying this episode of our podcast. If you are, you know what would totally make our day is if you leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
Absolutely. Just go to moneypit.com/review and let the world know how much you enjoy our home improvement tips and tricks. And you might even win a copy of our book.
All right, now we're going to take a call from Spokane, Washington, where we've got Dave on the line. What's going on at your money pit?
I have a house, and my electric heat was kind of expensive, and I checked some insulating ideas, and I used Frost King pipe wrap insulation tape behind the electric baseboard heat, and I used it with a foil side against the heater. I'm not losing the heat into the wall, and the heater's working about 30 to 40% more efficient. My question is, fire safe?
That's an interesting question. So you took this insulating tape. Now describe the tape to me. Is it the foil-faced sort of rubbery-like insulation that Frost King makes, or what does it look like?
Yes, it's Frost King pipe wrap insulation tape. It's an 1/8 of an inch thick. It's 2 inches wide. It comes in a 15 or 30-foot roll. It's sticky on one side, and it's got foil on the other side. The foil is what reflects the heat away from the heater and away from the wall out into the room. The heat doesn't go into my wall now. I had an infrared done by the fire department, and most of the heat used to go back up into the wall. Almost none of it's in the wall now, and the heater's a lot more efficient. And I don't know how to get the material approved, but it does work. My insulating material works, and it's very inexpensive. It costs about $10 a heater, and it'd be a whole lot more efficient.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. Now, I would say, first of all, we're definitely dealing with what is termed an off-label use. In other words, the manufacturer would never sell it for that particular purpose. To your core question, is it safe? I can see a couple of ways where it could potentially be not safe. In particular, the heater is designed to release a certain amount of heat to the back wall of it. And if because of the reflective qualities of the foil, it's now not doing that and basically reflecting that heat more into the room, I guess it's possible that some of the electrical components inside the heater itself could have to work there at a higher temperature than they normally would, and therefore potentially be unsafe. I would think that in both cases, both using the tape from the Frost King manufacturer's perspective and even from the electric baseboard manufacturer's perspective, I don't see any scenario where they would recommend those two be worked together. So even though it's off-label, is it really unsafe? Are you really at a risk hazard? I really can't tell you for sure, but I guess common sense would dictate that if you're not smelling anything that's burning or anything seems to be working poorly in any way, you may want to continue to use it, but keep an eye on it. So I'm afraid I can't completely put your mind at ease because it's kind of a solution here that you sort of made up yourself that's not going to be recommended by either the baseboard manufacturer or the insulation manufacturer. That said, there are probably other materials that would more likely be designed to go in that space. Perhaps a foil insulation, which is more typical of a baseboard space. So I would say if you're going to keep using it, keep a close eye on it because it is potentially unsafe. David, thanks so much for calling us at 1-888-MONEY-PIT.
Well, there's a new threat to homeowners, and it's not something that you can easily spot until it's too late. According to a recent article from the New York Post, an invasive plant species is spreading across the United States, causing serious problems for homeowners and even affecting their property values.
That's right. Now, the plant is called Japanese knotweed, and it's no joke. This fast-growing plant can damage foundations, sidewalks, drainage systems, and it grows aggressively, and once it takes root, it's extremely difficult to get rid of.
Now, the article reports that knotweed can grow up to 10 feet tall with roots that extend more than 60 feet underground. It's so invasive that some banks in the UK have refused to offer mortgages on homes where the plant is present, and now that plant is spreading across the U.S.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's not just the structural damage that's really concerning. The New York Post notes that Japanese knotweed can decrease property values by up to 15% since potential buyers are scared off by the plant's destructive nature and the high cost of removal.
So what can homeowners do if they spot this plant on their property? Well, the key here is just early detection and then aggressive removal. Experts recommend cutting it down, applying herbicides, and even digging up the soil to remove the roots. In some cases, you might need professional help just to get it under control.
Yep, and it's definitely not something you can ignore. Once knotweed is established, it can spread rapidly, even growing through concrete and damaging a home's foundation.
So the best thing that you can do at this point is to be proactive. If you suspect knotweed is on or near your property, you want to act quickly to remove it before it gets out of hand. Don't let a fast-growing plant like this take root in your yard or worse, your foundation.
Now we're going over to Alaska, where Mary has a question about siding. How can we help you today?
We recently sided our house with concrete siding. Underneath is plywood and then Tyvek. We use 4x12 panels that are pre-painted. They're attached to the plywood walls.
Okay.
My question is, do I need to caulk where the batten attaches to the panels? And secondly, do I need to caulk the nail holes on the batten?
Well, you wouldn't caulk with the batten attaches to the panels. You might use an adhesive in that area if that's recommended by the siding manufacturer. In terms of the nail holes, generally you don't have to caulk nail holes. You know, as long as you're not smashing the nails in and breaking the siding, they're usually tight enough around them where you do not have to caulk each individual nail head.
The nail holes have broken through the painted surface.
So if they broke through the painted surface, it's not a bad idea to touch them up with a little bit of caulk, but I wouldn't be too concerned about it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Mary. Thanks so much for calling us at 888-MONEY-PIT.
Reach out to Team Money Pit with help on all your home improvement projects, but also for a chance to win a great prize. We've got up for grabs the Spread Rock Granite Stone Coating System, and it's an actual layer of rock that you can easily apply to the floor, to the walls, pretty much anywhere you like. You can use it inside or out to resurface porches, steps, patios, walkways, garage floors, bathrooms, basements, so much more. It's available in 7 colors. It's impact resistant. It's super durable. And it's a great price at $149.95 for a 3-gallon size.
It's available at DiceCoatings.com, Home Depot, and Lowe's.com as well. But we've got 3-gallon size of granite stone coating going out to one lucky listener at random. Make that you. Call us right now at 1-888-MONEY-PIT. That's 888-666-3974.
Now I've got Scott on the line who needs some help rearranging a door swing. What's going on?
We just bought a new place, and in our downstairs bathroom, the door now swings in to the left, but the problem is the light switch is then behind the door.
Oh, yeah. So you got to walk into the bathroom, close the door in the dark, fumble with the light switch, and turn it on.
Yes, that's pretty much it. So I'm just curious if there's a way to switch the handing of the door without replacing the whole casing and everything.
Not easily. It's probably easier to run a new light switch on the other side than it is to change out the door, because the hole is drilled where the hole is drilled, and if you were to change the hand, you'd basically have to you'd have to put a new hole on the other side, I would think.
Sure.
Yeah, doors don't flip right and left too easily. Unless you're talking about the door in your washing machine, it's designed to do that. An interior door doesn't turn very easily. So I would suggest you just run a new switch on the other side, and you could just put a blank out plate across the one that's there now, because frankly, nobody's going to see it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Well, one of the most effective ways to reduce drafts and lower home heating costs is to seal spaces where cold air leaks in. Now, spray foam is a great way to do that. And DAP has just launched a new spray foam system that's perfect for builders, remodelers, and serious DIYers.
That's right. It's called the DAP Wall and Cavity Foam with wide spray applicator. It's portable, it's self-contained, 1-component polyurethane foam dispensing kit, and it is perfect for sealing those gaps in your wall and floor cavities, as well as the attic, basements, crawl spaces, you name it.
Yeah, and unlike the 2-part spray foam systems that require mixing separate components, the DAP Wall and Cavity Foam is an easier-to-use 1-component solution that can be applied in a wide temperature range of between 40 and 120 degrees.
The kit's also really easy to use both for pros and homeowners doing repairs, renovations, even for new installations. They effectively air seal and insulate homes and buildings while enhancing the R value and providing Class A fire resistancy. It's great for repairs, renovations, and new installations.
Now, the formula is pre-mixed, portable, and easy to set up. Plus, except for overhead applications, the responsive wide spray applicator can spray horizontally and vertically. DAP's wall and cavity foam has truly revolutionized spray foam application with the first one-component broadcast spray foam. Learn more at DAP.com. That's DAP.com.
All right, we've got Esther on the line. The gutter question. How can we help you today?
Well, we need to replace our rain gutters, but our shingles on our dearly beloved old house are Portland cement shingles. And the first three people that are the first three companies that I've talked to about replacing rain gutters, they would tell me how simple it is to just lift up the asphalt shingles and put the strapping in underneath it and fasten it. And I think, okay, asphalt is flexible, but I think the cement shingles might crack. So how do I find someone who knows how about preserving the shingles and putting up new rain gutters?
Well, I think there are a number of ways to install gutters. You can put straps that go up under the asphalt shingles, but they can also be attached directly. So what you're going to want to do is attach those gutters directly to the fascia. And instead of using nails, you're going to want to use gutter screws. They're very long lag bolts, lightweight, thin lag bolts. Usually they have a hex head on them. And the nice thing about these gutter bolts, so to speak, is that once you put them in, they don't pull out. Sometimes the nails, the gutter spikes that they use will pull out, but these gutter screws will not pull out. So you just need to use a different fastening system. And have you physically had somebody at the house that saw this configuration, or are they just kind of telling you this on the phone?
No, we had just moved to the area, and I was just going down the yellow pages, trying to get it.
Well, once they get to your house, they're going to figure out the best ways to attach the gutter. But rest assured, there's a number of ways to do this. And no, you don't have to take your shingles apart. And by the way, as long as those shingles, those roof shingles look good, and then there's no reason to replace them. The cementitious roof shingles are very durable. The reason that most people replace them is they tend to grow a lot of algae and moss, and they can look nasty after a while. But if they're still looking decent and it's not leaking, then you're good to go.
Yep, we're good. And there's a whole pile of, or a little pallet, probably 200 or 300 of them down in the basement. So,
oh boy, so you are good to go.
We should have some shingles. Yeah.
All right, Esther, thanks so much for calling us at 888-MONEY-PIT.
So yesterday, Leslie, I had to pull out some fence posts that were really old, and they were filled with concrete. Oh, my God. It was so incredible. We were looking at the pictures before, and I was sharing with Jim, our engineer, that it looks like 2 bags of concrete were used on each post. So what I did was I got a come-along, which is like a winch. I tied one end off the tree and the other end off of the post, and I sort of winched them out one at a time. But man, even doing it with that, it still was hard to move them around.
It's a lot of work.
It really was. So if you've got a project that's been a lot of work and you need some help, some tricks to get it done easier, reach out to us with your questions.
All right. Jerry in Minnesota reached out to Team Money Pit saying, I have a 1980s modular home built on a concrete block. Some of the exterior siding comes close to the ground, overlaps the foundation, and has rotted. We replaced some, but we then found a lot of insects in the wall. I don't understand why this is happening. Can we seal the space where the siding overlaps that foundation with caulk? It's interesting, like how comfy and cozy you feel when you're all bundled up in a warm blanket. Well, I guess that's kind of how insects feel when they're surrounded by all that damp, tasty wood.
Oh, they're very happy. Exactly. So, Jerry, I have a good idea of what's happening here. So it sounds like, first of all, the grading around your house is too close to the siding. Underneath the siding, optimally, you want at least 12 inches between the bottom of the siding and the grade, the level of the soil, because if it's too close to the siding or if it covers the siding, you're basically kind of giving all those insects a bridge into that. Plus, the siding doesn't dry very well. I'm going to guess this is composite. Maybe it's wood, but I think it's probably composite that you have. And if it doesn't dry properly, then it deteriorates very, very quickly. So I'll give you a couple of suggestions. First of all, what I've done in situations like this is if I can't lower the grade, which is option number one, right? Lower the grade so you have a bigger gap. If you can't do that, what you could do is kind of create what's sort of like a retaining wall, maybe about a foot from the foundation, where you use some 4x4s or some 6x6s and you lay them in the grade. And then the area between the 4x4 and the siding is dug down so that you have that 12-inch gap. And this provides sort of an airflow that can get in there and dry it out. So it's pretty common when that's the problem, that it's an issue of having to get that air to flow in there. And I think if you were to create that sort of faux retaining wall, that would solve that. Now, secondly, with these insects already embedded in there, you probably have termites or carpenter ants or both. I couldn't tell without seeing the actual damage, but what you do need to do is have this treated professionally. This is not something you can do yourself. You need to have a termiticide or an insecticide applied that the insects are going to take back to the nest and completely eradicate them. So 2 steps. You want to create that air gap around the siding, and you want to have the insects treated.
All right, now Peter in Florida wants to know if there's a simple way to tell if a wall is load-bearing, or do I need to find those blueprints to my home?
Well, that would be optimally the best way to tell. Typically bearing walls are usually parallel to the front and back walls of a house, especially of a ranch, if it's a ranch or a 2-story or a bi-level, but not always, okay? So that's why it's really important to make sure you have blueprints or you have a contractor or a pro look at it. And just because the wall is load-bearing, though, it doesn't mean it can't be changed. It just requires some engineering. So there's ways to insert beams that are flush with the ceiling that would carry that second floor. Yeah, it's a lot of work and it's not cheap, but it can be done. So always best to check with a pro before working on bearing walls or suspected bearing walls, because gravity sucks. You've been listening to the Money Pit Home Improvement Show, and we are so glad that you are. If you guys have questions and didn't get through to today's episode, remember, you can reach out 24/7 when you go to moneypit.com/ask and click the blue microphone button. I'm Tom Kreitler.
And I'm Leslie Segretti.
Remember, you can do it yourself.
But you don't have to do it alone.
If you're a facilities manager at a warehouse and your HVAC system goes down, it can turn up the heat, literally. But don't sweat it, Grainger has you covered. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products for all your operations, including warehouse HVAC maintenance. And even better, they offer access to experts and fast delivery, so you and your warehouse can both keep your cool. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.